Great. Good morning. I'm Jay Taft, K1 EHZ, and it's my pleasure to speak with you this morning about AREDN and what we can do with it. First, I'd like to make some acknowledgments. We're building out a microwave network in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire, using a grant from ARDC, which we're very pleased to have. And we're collaborating with a partner, New England Digital Emergency Communications Network, which operates 90 plus DMR repeaters in New England. We also have a couple of clubs that we're working with, Central New Hampshire Amateur Radio Club, Capital Area Repeater Society, and there are also agencies and hospitals in Manchester, New Hampshire that are kind enough to provide us with sites and space to operate and so forth. We also have individual hams who are providing time, money, expertise, and equipment, which we very much appreciate. Why get involved with AREDN? Well, for some of us, me included, it's to have something fun, learning something new in ham radio, and the relatively low cost of entry. So for about the price of a Baofeng, you can get into AREDN and have some fun. One of the reasons I find it interesting is because it combines computer network technology with microwave radio technology. And you can see the AREDN website, ardenmesh.org, for supported microwave equipment. It uses high-speed data applications within bandwidth constraints. You can operate fixed station or portable mobile operations. You can deploy it for personal enjoyment and event support, as well as MCOM. It's designed for MCOM primarily. You can participate in New England-wide networking. An important reason the ARRL is interested in this is to defend amateur microwave radio spectrum, which is always under pressure. And in fact, we lost some 3 gigahertz spectrum a couple of years ago. And as you look at this, you will think of many other possibilities of how you might use it. So I want to cover 3 main topics this morning. A little bit about AREDN. It's an IP-based system. And when people ask me what I'm doing, I say it's sort of like internet over radio. So you can run a lot of internet applications over the microwave system. We'll talk about network services and also how you can participate. So the primary goal of AREDN is to empower licensed amateur radio operators to quickly and easily deploy high-speed data networks where they are needed. The important takeaway here is you don't need to be an IT network specialist to have fun with this and to actually make it work for your interests and also for MCOM requirements. The radios are fairly inexpensive, off-the-shelf equipment. The ones built for outdoors are really quite rugged, and we've had some in the field for 6 years, and some of the ones that have been in the field for 6 years, we bought used and probably spent 5 years or more in the field at an ISP. Setting them up is pretty easy. They're powered over a single Ethernet connection, which carries both the power and data. The firmware opens up some ham frequencies, and the bands that it operates in are typically 900 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz. The high gain antenna options are important. For example, 400 milliwatts and a 20 dB gain antenna is about 45 watts EARP. So that's, you're getting into real power when you can point it all in the right direction. Line of sight is required, and the distance is greater than 30 miles. 30 miles is a reach for some of the 5 gigahertz equipment, but our longest link at the moment is 48 miles on 5 gigahertz, and it's a very, very good connection. AREDN configurations are come in sort of 3 varieties: backbone, relay, and end user. The backbone or hilltop situation is for covering longer distances, and this is why we're partnering with people who have repeater sites. We get advantage of their elevation, and we can provide them with internet if they need it. These go down to end user or endpoint stations. These could be point to point from the backbone, or they could be a mesh configuration from the backbone. Also, sometimes you need a relay station to get down to them. Here's are some examples of our backbone nodes at a couple of 4 different repeater sites. We've got 7, I think, at the moment. One of the objectives of our grant proposal was to connect Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine, because there's interest in those areas in the microwave network. So we have done that. We have 1 station in Maine and 2 in Massachusetts, connected to 4 in New Hampshire. So we've completed that part of our grant proposal. On the mesh side, towards the end users, if you have all nodes on the same SSID, the same channel, and the same bandwidth, they'll all communicate and pass traffic among themselves. So if one drops out, it becomes a self-healing network. And these are a couple of mesh nodes, one at Elliott Hospital in Manchester and another one at Catholic Medical Center, also in Manchester. We're using omnidirectional antennas here. This allows us to direct other stations to connect with these omnis, and we can also set up portable stations. If we can hit one of the omnis with a parabolic, we can get into the network from a portable or mobile situation. So this is one of the radios that we use. I'll pass this one around. See what it looks like. This is a MikroTik, and it has quite a lot of capability. It's got 2 Wi-Fi radios built in, and you can use one of those as a Wi-Fi hotspot to connect with a computer. You can use the other one as an actual AREDN radio on the AREDN network. It's also got a wide area network or internet connection on the left, 3 LAN ports in the middle, and what's known as a device-to-device port on the right-hand side. That's used to connect to other AREDN radios directly with an Ethernet cable. So what can we do with it? Well, first off, you can get into it with almost any device that has browser capability, including a DMR hotspot. You can connect the WAN port out to the internet or to the next router in the hierarchy headed towards the internet and put the system on the internet, hook up email, video, and then the device-to-device connection out to going towards the backbone. You can add a computer, and you can operate the computer remotely. I'm using No Machine, which is a free program that supports various computer platforms, and there's no central internet server required. Some of the commercial systems want you to go through their internet system for, I guess, for security and both so they can charge you for it. But the No Machine works well. It's a little bit slower than some. It works well. And the computer I show here is one of the many PCs that we use. It operates on 12 volts, so it's very convenient for portable operation. Once you have a PC on the network, you can do some other things with it. You can set up a web SDR and do some spectrum analysis at repeater sites. And some of the people we're partnering with would like to have that option. You can also add a sound card and remotely operate a VHF, UHF radio. We can do sound in both directions, but mostly we just use it for digital modes, mostly NBEMS and packet and WinLink. And again, if you have a computer, you can operate an HF radio remotely. This is handy in urban environments where sometimes on 40 and 80 meters, you get really ferocious QRM from, well, we've tried it in two places, in a hospital roof and in a fire station, and the QRM from all the equipment was just too much. So if you can move the HF operation out to a quieter location and operate it over the network, then that works out pretty well. And finally, because we're supporting DMR folks, you can connect the DMR repeater and any other repeater that accepts remote operation. So how can you participate? Let's see. Some things here. Jim Garner, if any of you were at Ham Expo 2023, you might have seen Jim Garner's presentation. This is the GLI net that we all bought, set up in the workshop to communicate over Biden. This is another version of the same thing, but it has external antennas rather than internal antennas. And this is sort of I think of as the Baofeng of AREDN. It's about a little over $30 on Amazon. And I'm going to talk in a minute about, everybody see that, about what we can do with it. These are great for club projects or even for individual training, but it's more fun if you can get a group of people together to use them. And two basic ways to use it. One is in a setting like this, where you can run them as an AREDN mesh network, connect up a cable to your computer, and actually power them with the USB port on the computer and an Ethernet cable into one of the Ethernet ports. And one of the real advantages of this particular unit is that it's very easy to flash it with the AREDN software. Some of the other ones are Microtics and Ubiquities. You need to do some command line work. But this one, you can use the internal firmware update of the GLI net and add the AREDN firmware to it. So this is one configuration, doing a Wi-Fi AREDN network. The other is if you add a tunnel server, and you can use this one as a tunnel server. This one is a little bit more rugged. It's again a Microtik. This one's about $65. This one's about $110 last I looked on Amazon. And so you can set that up as a tunnel server. And again, if you have a club, you only need one person to set up the tunnel server. And then you sort of reverse the operation. You connect the computer to the device by Wi-Fi, and then use an Ethernet cable to connect to the tunnel server, either directly or over the internet to a central server. So you can, what I've done visiting friends is I plug the, I use this one here with the antenna, with the external antennas. You can plug it usually right into somebody's home router if it has a USB port to power it, and then an Ethernet cable to the LAN side of their home Ethernet router. And then you can set it up. The tunnel clients and tunnel server software are built into these units. So it's really easy to set up a tunnel and go to the tunnel server. And then again, you can, from the comfort of your own home, you can chat with people over the AREDN system using the internet. Another thing you can do is, once you have a tunnel server going, is you can connect that to a supernode, and then you can get out to the AREDN global system. There's although AREDN was originally designed to basically be a microwave network, it's gotten a lot of use over the internet. People are using it for all kinds of things, and as you saw in some of the applications that I showed a few minutes ago, there's a lot you can do: telephones, video cameras. In California, they use a lot of video cameras on their sites to watch for fires, which is and some people use them for site security. You can keep an eye on your site pretty easily. So that's one of the reasons I like these little GLINet devices, is you can actually get started and do a lot in AREDN for about the price of a Bauphone. Well, this is a device that you can use as a tunnel server. This requires a little bit more setup than the client. The client doesn't require any adjustments of the configuration of your home router, but the incoming signal to the tunnel server requires DDNS or a fixed IP address, which is pretty expensive, but you can get a free DDNS from noip.com and aim that at your home router. And some home routers, mine, will actually notify NoIP if the IP address coming in from Comcast changes. So it really needs to have a fixed point of entry to get the client tunnel into the tunnel server. So you can get that from NoIP. You should establish a static IP address on your home router for the tunnel server. So the tunnel server is always looking at the same IP address on your home router. And you also have to forward port 5525 from your home router to the tunnel server. All this stuff is available on the AREDN documentation on ardenmesh.org, so you don't have to remember it at this point. The other kind of thing we do for operating in the field is we've set up a few of these feed horns. Oh, thank you. These feed horns fit in a parabolic reflector, but when ISPs replace them, they get the updated radios and just plug them in the existing parabolics, and you can pick up these fairly cheaply, and you can make a portable setup, which is what we have here. It's just a box with a battery and a PoE injector inside. And you can run it in a classroom situation like this, which is one of the things we've been doing in our club to train people and get used to operating. The other thing you can do is take them to the field with the same battery power and a parabolic antenna, and then you can go up to 10 to 15 miles. You have to be above the trees out in the open, but you can do event support and or just have fun using AREDN in the field. So this is what's in the box. I got curious because I put this together, but I wasn't paying any attention to the cost. And so I thought for this presentation, you might want to know what it costs to put one of these together, since we mentioned the costs of the other items. The box is pretty cheap. The battery is the most expensive part, and I've been going pretty exclusively with the lithium iron phosphate batteries. They work really well. They have a good a good voltage decay profile. It's pretty flat until the battery is almost dead, and then it drops off suddenly, unlike an SLA, which declines as soon as you plug it in. So I recommend, if anybody's going to do that, to invest in lithium iron phosphate. And I've been I bought a couple of cheap ones on Amazon. This is one of them, and I'm playing with them to see if there's a good cheap one for this purpose. Other parts, you can get the feed horns on eBay. Again, when the ISPs upgrade their equipment, they just pull the feed horns out and sell them. And here you can get them, 10 of them for $120, so $12 a piece. They don't come with the power over Ethernet adapter, so you have to think about how to do that. I'm using in the boxes, I'm using these for power over Ethernet. They work just fine, and they're compact. You don't need to plug them into an AC outlet. So I should mention that the MikroTik devices that I've shown you will operate on voltage between 10 volts DC and 28 volts DC. So they come, if you buy them new, they come with a 24 volt PoE adapter, but they'll run fine on a 12 volt battery. So we're having some fun with these. We've got 5 of them in the club, and we've been doing training in a classroom situation. And when the weather gets better, we'll take them out to a park or one of the farm fields that nearby and practice at a longer distance. And again, the other thing we can do is add a parabolic and go to the field. And during COVID, we had the 2 hospitals online. We couldn't get into them to keep up the equipment or to check the software and restart the computers now and then. So I grew up to Lowe's, which is on a hill in Bedford, New Hampshire, where I live, and I could from there with a parabolic, I could hit the omnidirectional antenna on Catholic Medical Center and get into the network and see how things were going. And we did that for almost 2 years. So these little devices work out pretty well, and it's nice to have simple battery operation. When you're using the parabolic, of course, you probably want to put it on a camera stand or something like that. They're pretty easy to operate. So I added up the cost based on the prices on Amazon. And so for about $76, you can put one of these, and that's if you have parts in your junk box, you can lower the cost. Or you could, if you have a battery on hand and or an ammo box, then you've got the most expensive parts of the box ready to go. So these devices will accept a couple of programs directly, so you don't have to have a separate server. And this is, again, one of the nice features for getting started. There's a mesh chat feature, which will handle chat. And it will also handle file transfer for small files. So one of the things we do is we use FL Message, which is part of the NBEMS suite of software. And you can generate small files with that, format it in FL Message, send it transfer it as a text file on Mesh Chat, and then pick it up on the other end and reformat it back in FL Message. So that, and again, this resides right on the server. You don't need right on the router. You don't need a separate server to do those things. The other thing you can do is measure the data throughput between devices. There's a program called iPerf that there's a program called iPerf, which sends over the network 10 bits of information and measures the rate between 2 sites. And this is our 48-mile link from Shapley, Maine to Chester, New Hampshire. And on this particular day, we're getting 15 megabytes per second over that 48-mile link, which we're pretty happy with. The DMR that we support only needs about 200 kilobits. So we've got way more capacity than we need for DMR. This is another Go box, and I brought it with me in case anyone wanted to see it. It's got one of the little microtics in it. It's got a Raspberry Pi, which is being used as a Citadel email server. It's got some power modification here just because I wanted to boost the 12-volt battery up to 24 and drop the 12-volt battery to 5 volts. Underneath on the lower deck here is the Bioenno battery, power charger, and one of those little mini PCs that runs on 12 volts. So I can remote into this over the network and operate the PC and do other things. There's also an SDR there. This particular model has a spectrum analyzer software for it by Steve Andrew. And so we can set this up remotely if we want at some of our repeater sites, and some of them have some pretty intense QRM. The one south on Canunek near us has 13 towers on it. And there's all kinds of stuff going on there. So we like to check it periodically. In fact, SDR Play has just come out with a new SDR that's networkable and designed for remote operation. So as soon as the snow clears, we'll probably put that up on Uncanunek to keep track of what's going on up there. So what's going on in New England? These are tunnel nodes. We talked about tunneling. These are active tunnel nodes last week that if you put latitude, longitude information into the AREDN software, it will go out, and you're on the internet, it will go out and post your site on the AREDN map. These are the tunnel nodes in New England, and you see the clusters in various places where there are active groups. We're pretty active. The main group is pretty active, and there's a group in Rhode Island that's pretty active. In terms of the 5 gigahertz nodes, the RF nodes, you can see the main group up here. This is our connection to Maine, and as the Maine folks work down the coast, we've got 2 dishes on this tower for them and 2 for ourselves. One aimed down here at Chester, and these are 5 gigahertz links in the southern New Hampshire area, and then 2 down here in Massachusetts, one in Haverhill and one in Westford. And then the Rhode Island group down here. So in summary then, AREDN is an IP-based system. The point is to be able to easily set up data networks. And it was designed primarily for MCOM, but we can certainly use it without much networking experience for other purposes. There are lots of applications that can be used over this. As you think about it, you'll think of more. You can do video. You can't stream really fast video, but sort of low resolution video works fine. No problems with that. And for about $35, you can get involved in AREDN. Group nets are a lot of fun. Chat and file transfer work and data speed program on nodes, and without any separate servers needed. So again, the cost of entry is pretty low. And with an internet client, an internet tunnel server to serve your clients, you can get into the AREDN global network from home. So I just want to mention that our club, the Merrimack Valley Amateur Radio Association, is a 501c3. If you're interested in what we're doing, take a look at our website. And although we have a geographic area in our name, we welcome members wherever you live. And I'm happy to entertain questions, comments, discussion.